It's called The Daily Show, and I've watched it. I watched it for Jon Stewart's entire tenure. I've watched all of Trevor Noah. It used to be that I couldn't start my day without looking up the episode from the night before. After about 2010, there were points where watching the show sometimes depressed me because it seemed like Jon Stewart was hopeless.
Because at a certain point, you what's wearing on you is impotent rage.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you're not playing, right? Because a lot of them are playing. A lot of them are creating an urgency and a rage and an upset that they don't actually feel. It's performative.
And he didn't know,
what I mean?
how to solve it.
But if you're
And he would get hopeless. Like it kind of felt like that whenever the story was just like so dejectable, drowning in the cynicism of it. The arguments were just the same.
the lack of movement towards the world that you would prefer to live in sort of begins to wear you down a little bit, to the point where I don't know if people,
as someone standing outside of typical American perspectives, I could see hope where Jon Stewart couldn't in certain American stories and situations. And so it became very difficult because I would almost download his hopelessness in place of my hope. When Trevor Noah was brought on The Daily Show as a collaborator, I was really excited because I was already a really big fan of him from the internet.
In America as well, I always tell people, if you truly want to learn about America, talk to black women.
I never thought for a second that he would have been picked as the next host because he was so new to the show. I believe Trevor Noah shared this anecdote at a live show that I attended sometime after he had started hosting. He said most people were confused and skeptical of the choice for him as host, but there was a small group of people who were excited and relieved. It was immigrants. Immigrants were like, finally, is what he said at the show. And when he did, I just felt seen because that's totally me. I know that the way Trevor thinks and the way that he talks about the world is a product of him being raised by humans that are called black and women. It's a system that regularly participates in activities saying this materialistic accumulation of resources is valuable enough that it can be an excuse to ruin or end other human lives. The humans we call black and women know the best how to look at this craven system and reflect back love for themselves.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you now, do yourself a favor. You truly want to know what to do or how to do it, or maybe the best way or the most equitable way? Talk to black women. They're a lot of the reason that I'm here, and so I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to every single one of you. This has been an honor. Thank you.
Your gut and your brain talk to each other, and when the gut talks, the brain listens. Your intestines has about 39 trillion microorganisms in it. We call this collection of organisms the microbiome, and it consists mostly of bacteria, but it also contains viruses and fungi. Collectively, it weighs about 3 pounds, which is the same weight as your brain. We feed these organisms and they produce chemicals that we need. They send messages to the brain through the vagus nerve. We know that people who are depressed and anxious have very different microbiomes than people who are not depressed. With depression, you have a higher number of bad bacteria that produce inflammatory chemicals. They send these inflammatory chemicals back to the brain and they get distributed in the body. So the ideal scenario is to have a diverse population of bacteria strains. Yes, even the microbiome values diversity. Then there's probiotics. Probiotics contain the actual bacteria that you ingest to increase the good population of bacteria. The more good bacteria that you have, the better. And you can increase the diversity by taking probiotic supplements along with eating probiotic food. Even if you've never been depressed or anxious, good gut health begets good overall health. That population of 39 trillion organisms house a lot of genetic material in their cells, and that influences a lot of our body functions.
I take a new bottle of juice from the grocery store. And this is so that I can pour it back into here. Okay, so even though there's only a tibikosin in here, both of these bottles will ferment. Try it out for yourself. Regardless of who sits in the chair at The Daily Show, or in any chair of any late night television talk show. And whether she's directly or indirectly related, it's the perspective of the enlightened Black woman that brings the most hope and makes these comment shows most effective at catching eyeballs and hearts every night. So if the people producing The Daily Show want to be the most authentic version of this commentary that they developed, then they really should put a human called Black woman in that host chair.
What? A black woman? A black woman? You've got a crazy CV in that regard.
Being a tiny part of all of those things was wonderful and obviously feels great, but I gotta be honest, being the host of The Daily Show permanently would just pay way more than running for office.
Exactly.
So I just,
running for office pays very little at all.
Right.